we got Miss Delania's new to her ride here. She got rid of the Dodge that I previously looked at the exhaust on. Now she picked up this 2010 Mustang, and oh boy does it have some things on it that we are going to get to. So we are going to start and change the oil pan gasket today. We're going to do the lower oil pan. The upper oil pan looked like it was leaking a little bit, but then I retorqued the bolts, and that appears to have stopped that, or at least got it to a very slow trickle. And the lower pan is leaking like a sieve. It is a big puddle. But I did want to show you before I got it up in the air and we dove into that. I mean, this is what we're working with here. Look at this. They wired in some fancy lights in the front. Oh no, I just dropped that. I just wanted to show you. Look at this. Underneath that black tape there is another one of these just twisted together wires. Which at least they put tape on these, because the ones underneath the car for the other side didn't even have tape. They were just twisted together and live wires bouncing around. So I'm gonna fix those up real quick, get some heat shrink on there, and yeah, we're gonna actually use butt connectors. I don't have my soldering iron today, but this is much better than what they got. So we'll do that with some heat shrink, and then we will get to this oil pan. But yeah, make sure you look stuff over before you get it, because that's crazy. If you see that kind of craftsmanship, you know nothing on it's been done right. So the primary suspect here. So if you look here, look at all this oil. It is just steady dripping, and as it gets hot and thins out, more and more drips. She has the biggest puddle in her driveway, and you'll see I cleaned it all up here. It was also leaking from that upper oil pan mount, which is like way up there, but that has, since I've retorqued it, it was kind of loose. These back bolts were. The torque spec on those was 13 Newton meters, and I got a good quarter turn out of some of those bolts, so that seems to at least slow that to maybe just a small drip. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and swap this lower pan here, because this puppy just, no matter how much I clean it, it fills back up and starts dripping immediately. And like I said, her driveway is a big puddle. So step number one, we're gonna get our oil catch can under here, and we're gonna drain this oil, because we gotta change the oil while we do it. All right, we got a bunch of 10 mils on this puppy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them to be precise. So I'm just gonna start zipping them out. The problem child is going to be this one up here for sure. So I'm gonna start with that and see if I can't come up with something that will get it in the vehicle. And then the other problem children are gonna be the 3 across the front here. But I think a 1/4 inch drive with a 10 mil short should get on all 3 of those, but we'll find that out. Those are gonna be the first 4 we take out. Everything else is easy peasy, so let me see what works and I will get back to you. Well, I did manage to get the one out right there. I did it with a 10 millimeter wrench. I came in, I don't have a wrench in my hand, but I came in from this side right here, just like this, and just slowly turned it like that until it was loose enough, and I wedged my hand up just like this and got my finger and thumb on it. I managed to unscrew it. It barely clears that cross member, but it does clear it. Unfortunately, the front 3, there ain't no getting to those. We have to pull the rack and pinion. We don't have to pull it all the way, but we are gonna have to budge it forward. So we're gonna start by pulling this power steering line bracket right here so it can go for a ride with it, and then we will shoot these nuts off here. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to hold the bolt on the top. We'll take those bolts out and we'll see how much play we have coming forward with this thing. I finally got the rack and pinion bolts out, so I'm gonna show you that real quick. I used a short 18 millimeter. The nuts on the bottom, I was so excited to zip off with an impact or capture nuts. They're welded on. So you have to actually take the bolts out from the top. So I came in on this one with a short right here on this side like that, and was able to ratchet that one out fairly easily. This one was a bugger, man. I came in from the back side back here. This was the only place I could get enough room like this to ratchet it, but it was like a 1/4 turn at a time, and they are in there tight. So just be ready to fight that battle, but both of them are out now. They look like this. They should have Loctite on them, so this has some blue Loctite, so we got to make sure we clean them up and put fresh Loctite on them before we reinstall. And then the final step to moving that rack and pinion, you'll see I put a little yellow paint mark right here on the steering collar. We're gonna shoot out this bolt right here and slide that out, so that way this whole rack and pinion is free. And then I'm hoping to be able to just take the whole unit and move it forward without disconnecting anything else, any lines or the tie rods or anything, to get it out of the way of our oil pan bolts there. This is in the repair guide that you have to do this. I was hoping to not have to, but turns out you do. So let me get that steering off and I'll let you know what size that bolt is. It looks like it's about an 11 millimeter or a 7/16. And then yeah, I'll get that off of there and we'll go from there. Yeah, somehow I was way off on that one. It was a 13 millimeter. Well, there we go. I was able to just stick my snub-nosed Milwaukee impact up there. Now this should just be able to slide right out of there. Just like that. This may be a booger to get back in when the time comes, but we'll get it. And again, this is not a terrible task at all. I'm gonna take 2 hands though to try and slide that out. It's just a little bit of patience and just a little bit of doing. You'll get it. For the first time on this car, something actually went perfectly according to plan. Look, the tie rods hold it up perfectly, so you can just push it forward out of the way. Look how much space we have now to get to those back 3 bolts right there. We have all the space in the world, so that's good. I can actually get my power ratchet up in there, I think. We'll clean them off a little bit. And yeah, I did have to put some Freon on that, and then you'll see the tabs of the rack and pinion, or the rack and pinion mounts with ears that go into these 2 tabs, and the bolt passes through. So I did have to grab a little small handle pry bar and just give it a small little pry, but it came right out of there. It was very, very, very easy. So I'm finally gonna shoot the rest of those bolts out of the pan and get it dropped. Yay! All right, I figured I'd show you all this. So all of the bolts are out. Easy peasy lemon squeezy now with that rack and pinion out of the way, but the pan hasn't come off yet. So I'm gonna get a small flathead, I'm gonna put it right in here, and I'm gonna very gently pry. You do not want to mar or hit this gasket sealing surface, because that will be very, very, very bad. So you gotta be very careful and very gentle. But let me grab it. I'm gonna set you over here somewhere, and hopefully I can get you a good view of this. 100% expected this thing to just fall off. I'm wondering if somebody tried to fix this before, stuck a bunch of RTV up here. No, I didn't look like it. There you go, so it was just stuck. Yay! Simple as that, our pan is off. So now we get to go clean it up and get ready to put our new gasket on. I will tell you, this is something you don't want to see. Big chunk of plastic in the bottom of the pan there. We'll have to figure out where that came from. That's not good. If you look up in there, your screen, if that's all gummy and dirty and gross, then you got a major issue. Hey, look, you can see right here where the pan wasn't sealing, where the oil goes all the way across. So it's our source of our leak right there. We need to just make sure we get this all nice and clean, and then we'll be ready to put our new one up. But yeah, make sure you look at your pickup tube, and yeah, then get ready to start cleaning. I'm letting my oil pan drain off in the garbage can. I actually just toss it down in there to drain a little bit, and then we'll wipe it down, get the old gasket off, and I'll show you how to clean it before you put it back in there. All right, here we are. The pan is clean, the block side is clean. I did want to show you that my favorite thing for cleaning the pans is Super Clean Degreaser. It works better than even my parts cleaner does. But yeah, so we're all cleaned up. I'm ready to set our new gasket in and bolt it back up. You just want to make sure, and I'll show you whenever I do it, but you'll finger tighten the bolts. I like to start with 2 across to hold it up and snug them up, and then I'll just put them all in, finger tighten them, and then we'll go back and do a torquing sequence at 11 Newton meters. But the order is important, so I will show you that here momentarily. I know it's not ideal for making a video to try and help people do stuff on their own, but I have already put the pan up and torqued it. So essentially you're just gonna go side to side and kind of work your way middle out. The problem though, in reality, is that bolt up there you can't get a ratchet on. So what I did is I skipped that one, I did the rest of them. The reason I didn't film putting it up is because if you look very, very closely right there on the pan, This pan was warped in multiple spots, and I had to put it on my anvil and tamp it back down flat, but I wasn't 100% confident with the way that it came out. So in order for this to hold, the best idea I had was I also put a small layer of RTV. I only had 90-minute mix, and I put that on the pan surface and then dropped the gasket on, put it, so I went quick. I went up there, I put it up, I got everything finger started. You want to start all the bolts finger started to make sure it's all lined up perfectly before you start cinching it up, and then torque to 11 Newton meters and jump back and forth. But yeah, after that point, your oil pan plug, which is what's going in next, comes with a new O-ring, so you'll put that on, and now we're ready to install that. And in my case, I need to wait like an hour and a half to make sure that RTV sets up, and then I'm going to fill it up with oil, and we're going to see if she leaves a puddle under it again. But from what I can tell, my best guess is based off, if you look at the edge here, you'll see how that one's bent up there and that one's bent there. This is where the pan was leaking before. I think someone got under here, saw that's where it was leaking, was trying to get it fixed, and they just angrily started smashing up on the bottom side of the pan instead of just doing the job and replacing the damn gasket. So that's how I think this one got misshapen. But yeah, well, hopefully it'll hold. We'll see. We'll see. So it is completely back together. Rack and pinion is in. Do not forget to clean those bolts and put fresh Loctite on them. That goes for everything on that steering. But looky there, we got no oil puddle. That's coolant. I made a big coolant mess on that water pump. But no oil dripping off the pan, and it has been in there for a long time. Hell yeah, brother. So I think we are good there. Getting ready to top off the coolant. We'll fire it up, we'll let it run for a bit, and then let it sit in the air one more time, because before it seemed like when it got hot it leaked worse. But I think we got her. I think we got her, boys. If the video helped you out, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you want to see more.